Today's episode is part 2 in our series on marriage, the marriage code. Today, Teresa and I speak with Meredith and Craig, who are both entrepreneurs and they are marriage counselors. They both provide some wonderful information, so we do sincerely hope that you will listen in. You can contact Meredith and Craig at roadoflifecoaching.com. They're also on Instagram at Meredith and Craig.
Where we're both having a bad day at the same time, we do our best to remember that we're on the same team. We've done the work to know what our North Star is, so we both know where we're going. And there's days where we don't always agree on the path to get there. We see different challenges, we see different routes, and we have a different opinion on what we should be doing. And so we remember that we're on the same team, even though we want to take a different path. And so by doing that, we always stay respectful.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa.
All right, we have with us today Craig and Meredith Bennett. Welcome to Earrings Off.
Thank you very much. We're excited to be here.
Thank you. So excited.
Well, we are looking forward to the conversation. So can you tell us what was the deciding moment when you knew that you had to make a change and leave corporate life behind?
Yeah, that was a big moment.
It sounds like a big moment, big decision.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was all we had known. And actually, we were given a little nudge. Our organization, we work for the same company, and they gave us the option. They were closing our office and moving us all across the country. And if we didn't want to move, we could leave. And if we wanted to move, we could stay and keep our jobs and it'd be all good. And so that was a very stressful time where we were trying to make this decision. Do we move across the country further away from our family and friends, but keep our safe corporate jobs?
Right.
Or, do we not move and try to do something different? And in that same period of time, it was really interesting because my dad got sick with cancer. And it was, it was not fun. We went home to the East Coast where I'm from because we thought it would be his last Christmas. And then we got there and it was sad because he got two cancers. He had another kind of cancer. So we ended up with 2 cancers and things were getting worse. But it really gave us a really good perspective that we needed in that moment of what is it we really want in life. And we want to be closer. Our parents aren't getting any younger. Craig's grandmother's not getting any younger. Our friends, our family, most of them are on the east side of the country. We don't want to move all the way across the country and see them once a year for a few days. And so that was really the perspective that we needed to make this decision to not move across the country, stay close to home. And just as a quick side note, once we made that decision, almost immediately, my dad's health did a 180. He's healthy as a horse. Everything is wonderful. It was like the universe put this obstacle in our path to give us the perspective we needed in that moment to make that decision. And even though we're both very plan-oriented people, we did not have a plan when we left. It just felt like the right decision, and we trusted that a plan would eventually come together for us.
That's an amazing story.
That is amazing. So glad to hear that your dad is doing fine. But when you talked about him getting sick and the, diagnosis one right on top of the other, that helped you to gain some clarity on your priority. I bet it did. That shakes you up and makes you really think about what's not important and what have I made important in my mind that's really not that important.
Yes.
And it really was the catalyst for us to make that change, because until that point, until we heard that he was sick, we were really unsure which way to go. We were unhappy, unfulfilled in the corporate job. Like, it wasn't like we were loving that job. And then with the added, benefit now of it moving across the country, it offered us this opportunity, but it's scary. It's scary.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's scary to leave everything you've known for the complete unknown. But when we heard her dad was sick and we went to visit him that Christmas, it just put everything into perspective for us. So it was like the universe just kind of
working in our
favor.
Yeah. Right.
Wow. Wow.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in those early days of entrepreneurship? And how did you push through them?
Well, because I don't know how true it is, but I read that you started several businesses and you sort of sucked at it. So, I mean, I'm not making it up.
Story. Yeah, very true story. And the reason for that is, and this was probably the biggest challenge right out of the gates, was we had just left the world we really knew well and jumped into a world we really did not know well at all. And we did not do enough work on ourselves to understand who we were and what we actually wanted. We knew we wanted freedom to build build a business, but we didn't know what that actually meant and what that looked like in our lives. So we just started a journey without a destination. And so when you start a journey without a destination, you just get lost at sea. You just kind of float out there and you don't actually get anywhere. So I think that was the first real big challenge for us. Is we started a business. It had a altruistic motivation for us. It was in real estate. It was helping first-time home buyers get a home at an affordable rate for them. And so it was something that we had on our hearts. We wanted to help people. We wanted to get into entrepreneurship. So this was kind of marrying those two things. But we didn't do the homework to realize that it actually didn't align with the lifestyle that we ultimately really wanted. And we were miserable.
Oh, so miserable. Yeah, we were getting almost snippy with each other. We were more miserable in this new business that we created than we were in our corporate jobs, and we didn't have a paycheck on this new gig.
Oh, wow.
We were really noticing that we were getting short with each other, and that's when we had a serious conversation. What exactly are we doing, and how are we both feeling about it? And that's when we realized that we were both miserable. And we shut that business down in 5 weeks. And we had done all the things, right? The business coach, the website, the marketing, the mailers. We'd invested time and money.
Yeah.
But when we realized that we don't like this, we don't want this, it's making us not just individually miserable, but it's starting to impact our marriage. That pump the brakes. We need to do some soul searching and find ourselves a bit.
Yeah, but you know what I'm hearing as you both speak is that you were brave, because brave to step out and leave the security of corporate America, and brave enough when you made the assessment that no, we thought this was going to be it. This isn't it. Because many times, even when the writing's on the wall, we don't want to see it. But you made the assessment and said, no, we've got to pivot. And wow, that's amazing.
I'm actually really thankful for that experience and that we were able to pivot quickly, and not because we had invested a significant amount of money into that business.
Yeah.
And it could have been really easy to say, no, we're in this. Like we already spent this money. We have to make this work.
Right.
Throw more good money after bad. And that would have been a huge mistake. So I'm really, really, really thankful in that moment we were able to push through that discomfort.
And not just throw more good money, but throw more good time. Like, the more valuable of all the resources, our time and attention. We could have spent a lot more time and attention spinning our wheels in a business that we in the end didn't want to have anyway. And plus, both of us are not, we like to see things through. We're not ones to give up easily on things. And so I'm glad that we were able to see the difference between, stepping away from something that wasn't serving us versus needing to see it through because that's who we are. We were able to see that difference, and that made a huge impact for us, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually think one of the biggest lessons I've learned about this whole journey in entrepreneurship came from that. And there's the difference between giving up and quitting. Like, we did not give up on our dream. We did not give up on our vision. We did not give up on freedom and what we ultimately wanted, but we quit something that wasn't working for us, that wasn't on our heart to do. It was, so there's a very big distinction there that I've taken now. That was a big lesson for me.
Wow. Okay. So then how did you discover your passion for helping others improve their relationships? And so what really drew you to this mission?
It drew us, I think, because what we did after we shut that business down was we said, okay, pump the brakes. We need to do some personal growth work. We started going to different events and, uncovering our own limiting beliefs and, figuring out what we actually wanted our life to look like, because we hadn't done that work. We didn't, to Craig's point, we had no destination. We did not have a North Star. We did not know where we were going. So we paused trying to replace our income and figure out a business and all those things that you tend to rush into when you're in that sort of transition period, and just focus on ourselves and our marriage. And by doing that, we learned a lot of things, but we also went to different retreats and events, and we were meeting people and learning things. And as we started to see some people over and over again at some of these events, some of them started coming up and asking us, like, you two seem to have a very strong marriage and you're doing this together. How are you making this work? You seem to spend a lot of time together and you seem to get along and you seem to make it all work. How do you do that? And so we just started noticing people were asking us, but it wasn't until we got asked eventually to speak at one of these events about building strong relationships that we thought, you know what? Maybe there's something here. People seem to need this. We keep getting asked for it. And now we've been asked to actually speak to a group of people on a stage, which we've never done before. So it almost sort of validated that for us. So I feel like it came to us more than we discovered it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm actually seeing a common theme. I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah.
With you guys, things happening that are putting you in line with where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. This is I'm getting chill bumps. This is amazing.
Because it sounds organic.
Yeah.
That you naturally evolved to this way. Wow.
Yeah. And it happened when we sort of kind of let go of it and didn't try to force something. Like, we were originally trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And when we kind of just let that go and just focused on us and what we wanted and what our vision for the future was, it ultimately just started to come to us.
And plus, once we started thinking about it, we started looking back on our lives and identifying between the two of us the dozens of ways that we had been coaching throughout our lives, whether it was mentoring people in our corporate world, whether it was I was a personal trainer, he literally was a coach for like basketball teams and different sports. And when we looked back, it was almost as if, hey, we've actually done this before. And it just seemed to fit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we both come from families of divorce. Like, both of our parents divorced around the same, like when we were the same age, going through, like, it was when I was leaving high school, going into college, same for her. And it was just that, looking back, it's a passion of ours. It's something near and dear to us as well. It wasn't something that we went looking for and that was very clear to us that this has to be it, but it ultimately found us somehow, some way. So it was cool.
That is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about common relationship mistakes that couples make. How are you coaching people to avoid them?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, there's many, I would say. The first one, I think, the one that we've kind of been talking about more lately, is not maintaining, not prioritizing the relationship, not keeping the fun in the relationship, because life gets busy, life gets stressful. The kids have a million things on the go. There's a lot of balls in the air all the time. And I think a lot of times we just always assume this is going to be there when I'm ready to pick it back up again. We both know life is busy and we both have a million things to do. So put a pin in this for a few years and then we'll be able to come back to it. But fun is actually the foundation of the marriage. With fun comes communication, comes connection, intimacy, trust. All of that comes out of fun. And often the first thing to go when life gets busy is the fun. And when the fun goes, you're less likely to want to put in the work because it's not fun. You're not enjoying yourself. But fun really is the foundation for all those critical elements of a strong marriage. And so it seems like it's an easy one to overlook. Like, of course it's not fun. Marriage is serious, but the fun piece of your marriage is a really important part that I think is really underrated when people start looking at how to the steps to take to rebuild or repair or sustain what they have.
Okay. So what are some key strategies or tips you can give couples to strengthen their foundation?
So piggybacking off what Mary said around fun is just so 99% of life is the day-to-day mundane task of going to work and making meals and getting the kids to wherever they need to go, the 100 activities that they have. It's finding the joy in the little things. It's the turning on the music and having the dance party while you're making food together in the kitchen. It's finding the little things throughout the day, appreciating the other person for being who they are, and just acknowledging their presence, their beauty, and the things that they bring to your life. And I would say, don't forget about you as an individual as well, right? Like, a marriage is made up of two individuals. So you cannot ignore your own needs and desires. You still are a whole person, and you have to take care of yourself so that you have more to give to your other relationships, i.e. your marriage.
One other thing that I like to always chat about with these kind of things, my favorite strategy that I learned from him actually, is the check-in questions. He is really good at, usually end of day, and it's often when we're going to bed, right? Like lights are out, we're in bed, we debrief on the day almost. It's a habit we've gotten into where he'll ask me a really specific question. He doesn't ask me, how was your day? Because that gives that kind of a generic question gives you a pretty generic, fine answer. Where he'll ask me, like, what was the best part of your day today? And then that makes me think about an actual answer, or what's something new that you learned today? Or, he'll ask me something really specific, which prompts me to then think about and reflect on my day to come up with an answer that's, specific and suitable, that I have to actually think, like, what was the best part of my day today? And then when he does that, it leaves me with the feeling that, one, he actually cares about what happened in my day today, and two, that he wants to be a part of it, because he asks me in such a way that he's not distracted, he's not scrolling his phone, he's not mentally making a to-do list or mentally writing an email. He's asking me in such a way that he cares about what my answer is, and then we can go back and forth with questions and answers and have a conversation from there. But it all starts with a genuine curiosity-based check-in question to make me feel like he actually cares about how my day went and wants to be a part of it. And I think it's a really, again, underrated strategy to maintain communication in a relationship.
Okay. Well, how about the difficult times? Like, how do you guys handle stress in both the marriage and the business during those difficult times? How does that work?
Yeah, you know what? Especially now that we're in entrepreneurship, there was fewer difficult times when we were working the stable corporate jobs and had our steady routine. There are more difficult days now that we're entrepreneurs and things are a little less routine. I'd say the first thing is, thankfully, we don't usually have our bad days on the same day. Everyone ebbs and flows, and we sometimes do, but most often we don't have our bad days on the same day. So we can pull the other one out. You can see that he's struggling with something today. Like, let's talk it through, and I'm going to pull him out and help him see a different perspective, because he's only seeing it from his own eyes right now, and I can see a bigger picture because I'm not as in the weeds as he is. But on the days where we're both having a bad day at the same time, we do our best to remember that we're on the same team. We've done the work to know what our North Star is, so we both know where we're going. And there's days where we don't always agree on the path to get there. we see different challenges, we see different routes, and we have a different opinion on what we should be doing. And so we remember that we're on the same team, even though we want to take a different path. And so by doing that, we always stay respectful. There's never name calling, there's never voices raised, there's never any intent to be mean or make the other person feel bad. Like that just does not exist in our marriage.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say building off of that, two really key things is one, having that North Star. So doing that work of understanding what your end goal is, so that you know that all the decisions, all the things that you're doing are for that. And so that you know, you and your teammate, your marriage, your spouse, the end goal is where you're headed. You're both doing all you can. You're showing up as your best self, whatever it is on that day, to achieve that goal. And sometimes we don't show up as our best self. Unfortunately, we're humans, and that just happens. And then it's just having grace, understanding that we know that at the end of the day, we're both on the same team, striving for that North Star. So when we comp a little short, we just have that grace.
Oh, wow.
So go ahead.
And then I'd say our little superpower, our little super trick when we're not our best selves is to go for a walk. We walk together, and it's our little superpower, because on the good days, it's great for conversation. It's great to have creativity flowing. It hits all the right lines for that. But when we're having a bad day, it's good for that too, because it gets you outside, it gets your body moving, it kind of moves that negative energy through your body. And the walk might be silent for a good chunk of the walk. Like we've gone 5 miles in silence some days. Like we've had silent walks, but eventually by the time we're kind of coming to the end of it, we can get back on the same page and get things back to a regular conversation and being able to understand the other's perspective and move forward. There's something magical about walking together in the good times and in the bad times.
It's the endorphins, right? From exercise.
Yeah, really helps.
And I think if people have, or if couples have a couple relationship rules in place, so that when those bad moments happen, they know that they don't default to the name calling. They always maintain the respect, because sometimes when you're in that state, your elevated state, you get, it's emotional, right? And you go somewhere where maybe you don't want to go, but if you already beforehand have established that these are non-negotiables, we do not do these things, then it makes it a lot easier to be able to get through those smoother.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what is the number one thing someone can do right now to improve their relationship?
I would say it's the little things. The number one thing they can do today is do a small thing for your spouse that makes their life a little bit easier. One thing I like to do for him is keep an eye on the water bottle he has on his bedside table. And when it gets low, I fill it up, because, no one likes to be thirsty in the middle of the night. So that's just one little thing I do. And in response, when he notices I've done it, he always says, thank you, always. Like he doesn't get complacent and just assume I'm always going to do it. And so I think the one thing I would always suggest is do a little thing, and then find a little thing that they've done for you, because there's always something that you can say thank you for. Because all of us want to feel seen, heard, valued, appreciated. It's an innate desire in all of us. And it's when we don't feel appreciated, we feel invisible. That's when we start to not be our best selves. That's when we start to feel badly about ourselves, and our confidence, our self-worth, all those things all interconnected start to go down. So when we can feel appreciated and make your spouse feel appreciated, and in turn you feel appreciated, everyone kind of can stay as their best self. And it's all about the little things.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think I would add, I know this conversation isn't about me, but it's based on what you said earlier, that thing about fun. Just remember the fun times, right? If you both sit down and if both people sit down and just think about it and talk about something, just remember something fun. How can you be mad at that?
Totally. I think you're so right. Like I like to think of fun in a marriage in 3 ways. There's the dedicated fun times, the date nights, the vacations, the things that you expect to be fun. but they're not the majority of your day.
That's right.
Right.
The
So
second
true.
way is what he said, the mundane, finding the fun in the mundane. And the third one is just always having a lens, like the glasses you put on to see the world, having a lens of adventure, so that, when we were talking about it the other day, we got caught in a crazy hailstorm when we were outside one day. And we look back on it, and it was a little scary in the moment. It was golf ball sized hail. We had no cover,
Wow.
banging off us. It was a little scary in the moment, but we look back on it and it was really fun. Like, we look back on it now as a fun memory. So when you can find that sort of lens of fun and adventure, you can see the fun in things that maybe if you didn't have those lenses, you wouldn't see the fun in. And so when you can have your dedicated fun times, you can find fun in the mundane, and then you can find fun in things that you didn't expect to be fun, then you've got memories that you can look back on that are fun to reminisce about. So you've just kind of created exponential fun in your marriage too.
Wow. Well, Craig and Meredith, thank you so much. What I hear throughout our conversation, of course, is to make sure you're having fun. And also, I'm hearing extending grace, being thankful, showing gratitude, being respectful, and being appreciative. So those are all good markers for a great relationship. So thank you so much for joining us here today on Earrings Off. Those are all of the questions that we have for you. Do you have any parting words for our audience here at Earrings Off?
Wow, I can't believe how fast this flew by.
I know.
We really enjoyed ourselves.
So did we.
Yeah. For parting words, I would say it's never too late. It's never gone too far. Your marriage is up to you. It can always improve. You can always bring it back. You can always make it better. It's up to you, and it's never too late to turn it around. And
I would say, well, building off what we've already said, I would say know what you want and get together and talk about that and align on it. And then when you know that it creates an us versus the world energy, when you know that you have a shoulder to shoulder teammate going for your goal, it's a cheat code. So I would say align on what it is that you want and go after it.
Yeah. And now, how can people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
They can find us on Instagram at Meredith and Craig, and they can find us on Facebook at Road of Life Coaching, and they can find us on our website at roadoflifecoaching.com.
Okay. Again, our sincere thanks for joining us here today at Earrings Off. You've imparted some wonderful wisdom with our audience, and we sincerely appreciate it. Take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.